Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss situation in Ukraine on the 23rd of June. Today we have a lot of interesting updates, so let's start. And first let's take a look at the Russian sources map. You see that our Lysychansk agglomeration is full of new icons. A lot of new icons, a lot of things happened this day. The Russians, starting this morning, they start clear the Gorsk-Zolotoye area. And they are taking town by town. First, we have some confirmation that the Russians took Novoivanovko and Persiyanovko. Later, we got some updates that the Russians took Malakamyshevacha, Zolotoye, the towns on the south from Zolotoye, and also they took some towns near Gorskaya. As you can see, there is like a gray line. You see this line, and as you can see, the only territory that's still inside the gray line is Gorskaya. Every single town around the Gorskaya is under the Russians. Only Gorskaya. I can't tell that there are some Ukrainians because there are a lot of traps, a lot of surprises. The Ukrainians left a lot of traps and a lot of surprises for the Russians. So of course they're trying to move slowly, very carefully. They don't want to lose their soldiers just on this operation because everybody understands that the Ukrainians are not going to fight for this area. There is no need to fight for this area. There were some confirmation, some video and updates about the prisoners of war. A lot of Ukrainians surrendered in this area. There are a lot of updates about the quantity of the Ukrainians in this area. Some sources are saying that there are around 2,500 soldiers, and other sources are saying that there are around 1,000 soldiers and so on. So there is no updates about the real quantity, but the only thing I mentioned that during these days, like this morning, noontime, and yesterday in the evening, there weren't much videos about the surrendering. So if you remember when we were discussing Mariupol and if any group of soldiers surrenders, there was a lot of video confirmation about the quantity of soldiers and so on. But if we're talking about Gorsk-Zolotoye video, there was just a few videos, and if we calculate the quantity of soldiers on that videos, we can say that there were less than 50 soldiers. So, but if we're talking about the Russian sources, they're saying that Ukrainians surrenders in this area with very big quantities. But and furthermore, there is no updates, no video confirmation about this situation. So to tell the truth, I think that the quantity in Gorsk-Zolotoye is less than 2,500. I'm not sure about even 1,000 soldiers. So we see that the Ukrainians left Gorsk-Zolotoye cauldron right before this cauldron collapsed. So, but the only thing that the Russians says that there were a lot of losses during this evacuation, and mainly the losses were around town Podlysne and Mirnodolina. Furthermore, these losses were during the storm operation of this town. So, for now, there is no update about the quantity of the soldiers that were trapped and surrendered in this area. Another important update from this area are coming from Vovcharovka. Yesterday we discussed the situation around Vovcharovka, and we discussed that if the Russians are able to take Vovcharovka, that means that they are able to establish control over the road that connects Lysychansk oil refinery and Lysychansk itself. And this morning we got some updates, some confirmation that the Russians, first they took some suburbs, and today they captured entire Vovcharovka, and now they're doing some clearing operation. As you can see, the map is not updating like with the red color or green border. For now, the territory is still in the gray zone because we understand that the Ukrainians, they can and they still have possibility to start some counter-offensive operation toward this area, and they still can push the Russians from this area. I'm not sure that they're going to do this. I think that in a day or two we're going to see like entire Vovcharovka under the Russians. But for now, this situation as we have. And if it's true, and I think that like 70% that it's true, then we can say that this road is under fire control, and we can say that Lysychansk agglomeration is an operational encirclement, even operational tactical encirclement, because the main roads in this area are under fire control or blocked by the Russians. There is still one local road from Lysychansk, like they can use. Still, they can still have support from Siversk using two ways. First of them, of course, like we use the Life Road, the Road of Life, and another way is using Bilogorovka. There are a lot of local roads like this one. You see, there are roads with very bad quality, but using all these roads, you still can pass some areas and get right behind the Lysychansk oil refinery and to get to Verkhnekamensk. So there is still the way how to support this area. If you remember, like many videos ago, we discussed the value of Gorsko-Zolotoy area, and I told you that yes, this is a very important area, and to take control over Gorsko-Zolotoy can solve a lot of problems, but still, while Lysychansk agglomeration has the road for supply, we can say that this area still can stand and still can fight with the Russians. And in that video, I told you that to solve this issue with Lysychansk, like entirely, the Russians still need to cross Seversky Donets River somewhere here on the line between Seversk, like Zakitne, Platonovka, Dronovka, Serebryanka, Grigorievka, Bilogorovka, or Privilya. So on this line, they need to cross this area somewhere. And I told you that the best solution might be like to cross the river near Privilya. This area is in the very heavy clashes. For now, I'm not sure that it's a good idea. I think that they need to choose any other option, how to encircle Lysychansk. So let's discuss this area one more time, more detailed for better understanding. If we take a look at this map, this is the West Sources map. I have already updated this map for better understanding. I mark, this is the current situation in Gorsko-Zolotoye. This is still in the gray zone. The Russians are clearing this area. If there are Ukrainians, they are somewhere in the middle near Gorskaya. So they're gray zone, but I'm sure that in a day, by the end of this week, we're going to see this area is like colored in red. In the area near Nikolaevka, I marked this area as a gray zone because we know that the Russians are attacking Nikolaevka from the south. I think that during these days they will try and they will start another offensive road from Ray-Alexandrovka to encircle and take this area. So I marked this area as gray as well. This morning we got more and more confirmation that the Russians are attacking Bilogora, and there was like a mark that storm White Mountain, so that the Russians are attacking this area. So I marked this area as a gray zone as well. Now let's talk about the Ukrainians. And today also we got some updates from the Russians that they also start some storm operation towards Sirotina, so the final operation to split this area in two parts and to with the purpose of encirclement of the forces that located in Voronovo-Barivska. If we take a look at this map, I marked Sirotina, Voronovo, this area in the gray zone, so this area of heavy clashes, and Barivska is the territory of the Ukrainians. And now let's talk about the Ukrainians. They're controlling Severodonetsk Azot plant, they're controlling Shipilovka, Bilogorovka oil refinery plant, Lysychansk itself, the southeast part that includes some civilians area, and two big plants, two industrial zones. This one, the first industrial zone, and the second one, industrial zone. And also I marked one territory by the town, small village by the name of Malaryazantsevo in the green color. I hope you see the green color, right? And Vovcharovka under the Russians with the red color. So this is the current situation. As we can see, the Ukrainians left Vovcharovka, and according to the Russian sources, they're saying that forces from Vovcharovka moved towards oil refinery plant. So we can say, and according to information I have, in Gorsko-Zolotoye there was around 2,500, some forces left, maybe everybody left, but there are still some forces, and according to some Russian sources, there are still around 1,000 soldiers. And if we are talking about the area not without Lysychansk oil refinery, just the area on the east from oil refinery, there is around 7,000 or 8,000 soldiers. The quantity of soldiers in Verkhokamyanka, in Lysychansk oil refinery, I don't know. I think that there are around 1,000, 1,500, including Verkhokamyanska area. So this is the situation, and the Russians need to decide what to do next. Now let's discuss the directions of the Russians' attack, what can they do, and what they're going to do in this area. We know that the Russians are, it's like the obvious, and that was already a fact, that the Russians storming Bilogora. This is our Bilogora. This is this town. I think that the Russians will take this town. This town is not important for the Ukrainians. The most important part is this one. This is the block of by the name of the block of friendship of the people. So the friendship block, we can say. So the Russians are attacking Bilogora. Bilogora is the village on the hill. And if we take a look at this map, this is our Bilogora, and the Russians are trying to attack. We understand the purpose of the Russians. First of all, they want to attack this area to establish control and from this area they will be able to control the Ukrainian forces from Borivska. If you take a look at this area, you're going to see that this Bilogora is on the hill, and from this area the Russians will be able to control the Ukrainians from Borivska, from the airport, and they will understand if these forces from Borivska are retreating, and using this hill they will be able to fix the Ukrainians and to reduce their forces while retreating. And I'm sure that the Russians are able to take this town, because if you see, the only one place where the Ukrainians can support this area is from the friendship block, right? And this block is very far from Bilogora. I'm not saying that very far from, but the distance between these two towns is under total fire control. So it's not like a good idea to support this area, but of course the Ukrainian might hold this area for a while they are deciding what to do with Borivska. But I think that in a day or two we're going to see the same picture in Borivska, and that the soldiers from this area will retreat as well. Okay, this is everything about Bilogora. Now let's discuss the Ukrainians' positions. As you can see, the edge position is this friendship block, and this that includes some civilian area and the plant. And also there is another plant. It's not a big plant, it's a small plant. Furthermore, this is very fortified positions. So let's mark this area with fortified positions in this area to understand where the Ukrainians are planning to meet the Russians in this area. So this is like fortified positions here, and another fortified position, of course, is near the Lysychansk oil refinery. So we see that the Russians is between two fire, between Lysychansk oil refinery and between this plant. Let's take a look at this plant on this map as well. This is it. There was some photos and videos of this plant. This plant is not big, but they have big buildings and powerful buildings, and it's a small Azovstal, small Azot. I can't tell that the Russians aren't be able to take this town. They can, but of course there might be a lot of losses. And furthermore, this area can't be supported by the Ukrainians for a very long time. You see that there's one road that leads to Lysychansk agglomeration, also to this block with the industrial zone. So these positions are very fortified, and there were video from the Russian sources, like drone was like right in front of this plant, and there was a video how a lot of trucks and tanks were moving towards this plant. So the Ukrainians are not going to leave this area. So as you see, the Ukrainians prepare their defense line between industrial zones, Lysychansk oil refinery, the small plant, and the civilian part. Let's discuss if the Russians are able to attack this area from Bilogora. If we take a look at Bilogora, you see that this civilian part is on the hill, and you see that there is a road, and right after the road there is a big buildings, civilians buildings, like 9 floors, 5 floors. So that's mean that there is no like suburbs, no small villages around the town, at least in this direction. So I think that the Russians are not able to attack Lysychansk from Bilogora. The only purpose of Bilogora is to fix the forces Ukraine in Borovska and control their retreat process, and to reduce them as much as possible while there will be retreat. Now let's talk about this industrial zone. This one industrial zone, if the Russians are able to attack this area, for example, from the same direction, for example, from Mirne Dolina. I must say that it's also something impossible, because as you see, there is also a hill. The Russian forces will have to go on the hill, and there is no way to hide. There's no place to hide. There is a small forest, and I'm not sure that even it's a forest. Maybe it's a forest, but with very low trees. So that's why to attack this industrial zone and to attack Lysychansk from this direction is not very good idea. I'm not saying that the Russians are not going to do this. Yes, they will do this if there will be no other option. Now let's talk a little bit about this industrial zone, this small plant. This area is also fortified, and as you can see, right behind this block, industrial block, there are like few towns, also industrial zones. This one, this small village, the suburbs, I'm not sure about what is there, and this one, also big buildings, another industrial zone. Yes, the Russians can attack, but the establishing control over this area won't bring them the value they need. And furthermore, they might have a lot of losses while attacking this industrial zone. And one more thing, you need to understand that I'm building my projections and using the following configuration: that the Ukrainians still have some forces that are willing to fight, that can fight, and who has big morale in these forces. Of course, we saw that the Ukrainians were leaving this area without even a battle. Maybe that was some kind of plan. They understood that there is no need to control these villages because of that fact that might be a lot of losses. So they decided, maybe first time during this special operation, that for them it will be much more better to retreat towards more reliable position towards the industrial zone. We know how the Russians don't like industrial zones because the highest losses they have exactly in the industrial zones. And oil refinery, also big industrial zone. I'm sure that this area is fortified, and I think that the Russians don't want to attack this area directly in the front, because also a lot of losses, a lot of problems, and so on. So what to do? What to do in this particular case? This is the reason why I marked the area, this small village, Malorezantsevo. I'm not saying that it's like the thing that the Russians should do, like to attack Malorezantsevo. But I think that this is exactly the plan, exactly the thing that Ukrainians want the Russians to do. This is this village, so the Russians is here, and this is this small village. If we're talking about the possibility of taking any town, of course, Malorezantsevo is the best option for this. Of course, we see and we understand that if the Russians are going to attack Malorezantsevo, I can tell you more. There is a very high possibility that Ukrainians may allow them. I will tell you more, that if the Ukrainians want to be successful in their defense, I think that they need to give the Russians possibility to attack Malorezantsevo. It's some kind of trap. You see, in this case, the Russians might appear right between two fires, two industrial zones, and it's that the Russians right now, they're attacking, they have some kind of wow effect, like whoa, we are taking so much towns, and it might be some kind of trap. And that's why the Russians can continue their offensive operations towards Malorezantsevo, and the Ukrainians won't encircle them in this case. They will allow them to take this town, and after that they will just green the Russians very fast and slowly and so on. So this is the reason the Russians shouldn't go exactly in these directions. For me it's obvious, but I think if I were, for example, an Ukrainian commander, I would try to force or give the Russians opportunity to attack this area. In this case, it will be like the biggest mistake, and we can see a very heavy battle with huge losses from the Russian side. So we understand, and now we find out that to attack from Belagora is not an option. To attack this industrial zone is not an option as well. To attack from this Voevcharovka oil refinery is not an option. To attack Malorezantsevo is an option, but for the Ukrainians, because in this case the Russians will be trapped. So what to do? What is the next step? Of course, the Russians can attack using all these flanks, all these areas with big losses. Of course, they will achieve success with big losses, but I understand that, of course, they don't want these losses. They want to find another solution, what to do with Lysychansk. I'll give you my opinion that in this particular case, the Russians should do with this part of Lysychansk the same thing that they did with Severodonetsk and Azot plant in particular. What does it mean? I think that the Russians exactly on this front line should stop. They took a lot. They took Lok, they took Voevcharovka, Laskutovka, Mirna Dolina. Maybe they will be able to take Belagora, and that's it. No more movements. They need to try to save people, to regroup, to think what to do next, and to develop their next offensive operation, as we discussed like a few days ago, towards Nikolaevka. It's my objection. It's my idea. I'm not sure that the Russians are going to do this, but if you ask me, I would stop on this direction, and after that I would move towards Nikolaevka, and I would try to encircle Lysychansk oil refinery in direction of Verkhnekamenskaya. In this case, the Russians first they will completely cut Lysychansk agglomeration from Seversk, and attacking Verkhnekamensk will allow the Russians finally to cross this river from many sides and so on. Of course, it will take much more time, and but there would be much less losses, much less. In this case, if they will try to encircle Lysychansk oil refinery from the west, if they are able to move a little bit here, then to the north, and this will allow the Russians, even before starting the Lysychansk battle, to start some battle against Siversk-Belogorovka bridgehead. And to tell the truth, I think that in this situation, this direction might be more valuable than to attack Lysychansk in the front. But I'm afraid that because of that fact that the Russians now have wow effect, we are moving so fast, they can do a mistake by attacking the Lysychansk right in front. The result of any attack will be the same. I think anytime, anyway, Lysychansk is going to fall. But the question is how much losses, how many dead people, what is the price of this offensive operation? Or to pay a little bit more for time, the Russians need to encircle this area. Or to pay with their soldiers, but to take Lysychansk maybe even by the next week. Anyway, the soldiers there are going to surrender. And even from this perspective, it's much more better to try to encircle this area, because in this case, even the Ukrainians who is in Lysychansk, they won't do a lot of damage for the Russians, and of course, this situation will allow to save their lives as well. They're around 7/10,000 soldiers. All these guys can surrender, get captured, and everybody is going to be happy. So this is about Lysychansk agglomeration. Another important updates are coming from the south, from the totally the opposite area from Lysychansk agglomeration, from the area around Ugledar. First, I wanted to discuss this area a few days ago, but more and more updates were coming from Lysychansk agglomeration, so that's why I will totally concentrate on that area. Something interesting is happening near Ugledar. If we take a look at the Russian sources map, there is the same picture. You see this small town Pavlovka, and in this area the same. If we're talking about previous versions, updates of this map, town Pavlovka, according to the West sources map, it was always under the Ukrainians. But if we're talking about the Russians, this town was under the Russians during the previous updates of this map. And now I see that the Russians has updated, and there were a few days ago there was Ukrainian flag on this town saying that this town is under the Ukrainians. So the thing is that the Ukrainians started their offensive operation near this area. And first there was update that the Ukrainians established control over Pavlovka, and this morning there was a lot of updates about the fact that the Ukrainians were trying to attack Yegorovka, and that there was around maybe one BTG. About the quantity I can't tell you. This BTG was spotted by the Russians. They start shelling them, but then the Ukrainians stretched their army along entire front line and were attacking Yegorovka. There is no updates about Yegorovka anymore, but we see that Ukrainians are trying to do something here. Let's try and understand what is the main purpose of the Ukrainians in this area. First of all, of course, they're doing this just to, we can say, to achieve some media victory, like to show to the worldwide that, yes, we're losing some towns in the north near Lysychansk, but we are giving a fight to the Russians near Ugledar, and we're taking towns in this area. This might be the first reason. The second one, of course, the Ukrainians want if you're talking about the global scope, and if you're talking if the Ukrainians are able to do this, of course, in this area, the most important town is Volnovakha. By the way, Volnovakha was the first town as a battle for Mariupol. The Russians were fighting there a very long time. This very important railroad and just logistics center, as you can see. The Mariupol port is working, and the Russians are moving here some forces, some support using this port and using this railroad station. The Russians are able to move some forces towards, for example, Kherson area, Zaporozhye area, and also they can, using this port, they can move their forces towards Donetsk. So Volnovakha is a very important area. And so we can say that the east part of the territory that under the Russian control and the west part, I'm talking about Kherson, Zaporozhye, is connected by Volnovakha with this logistics center. So maybe this is the reason why the Ukrainians are moving and trying to start offensive operation toward this area. And the main idea, of course, try to cut this region, to establish some control. And if Ukrainians are able to do this, of course, after that, they will be able to start some offensive operation towards Kherson, towards Tokmak. So they will be able to fight there. I'm not sure how the Ukrainians are going to do this, but maybe they're doing this right now. And if it's true, if like the main purpose of Ukrainians in this offensive operation towards Pavlovka, Yegorovka, to reach Volnovakha and to return this town back, I'm not sure that they're going to deblocate Mariupol. There is nobody to deblocate there, just to cut this logistics center. In this case, for example, the Russians won't be able to move their forces from this part very fast towards this area. Of course, there are still a few ports, not just Mariupol, Berdyansk, and there are Crimea here, but this line will be cut. This area will be cut, and we know that the main forces is here in the Lysychansk agglomeration. And if you remember, we discussed the situation that as soon as the Russians are able to clear this area, and we're gonna see the new front line somewhere here, for example, or the front line somewhere here, this front line will be much more less than this front line, and we discussed that this will allow the Russians to free around 40 BTGs, and these 40 BTGs might be transferred anywhere. So maybe this is the reason why the Ukrainians are trying to attack Yegorov in direction, let's say, towards Volnovakha. And that's it for today. I remind you that Military Summary channel condemns any violence in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, and enjoy your day. Bye bye.